So as cliche as it is, I am here to shoot some trees. It's a very common subject to shoot on a foggy day, beautiful foggy day like this, but I'm trying to avoid too much of the obvious. So I know there's a lot of these birch trees on this common, in this open area, so I'm trying to avoid those woody forest type shots for all the foggies and go for this more open kind of view with a couple of single trees, a minimalist kind of effect. These ones I don't think are going to work, it's just too much of a group here, though these may work if I move away from them, isolate them in the fog a bit more, shoot them from afar, and then they may stand out as a kind of single subject when I'm a bit further away. I haven't got a wide enough lens with me to do it from here, so as I travel down now I'll keep looking back and see how these look. Well, I must admit I am struggling just a little bit this morning, not quite getting my eye in, not really finding the trees that I want. So I've left there, I've walked back, I'm almost back at the car where I parked, but I'm on the other side of this group of trees. I couldn't find a shot looking from the other side. I can't shoot them that way because I'm looking towards the trees and the road, and I couldn't get further enough back to shoot them this way into this main bit of fog. So I've come this side and they're kind of isolated here, they make a nice little group. As long as I don't include too much to the left, I've got a shot. But what I really like about these is as you walk left and right, you see the individual shapes and you see the overlapping and you see them filling in gaps in each of their different tree trunks. And that's what I like, so that's what I'm going for. So I may not even shoot them as a whole group of trees. I may just isolate them halfway across, find some nice combinations of the overlapping trees, the trunks, where they're fitting in gaps between others, and try and get my shot here with that misty background. I think that's my best bet here, and then I think I'm going to head off to a different part of the common to see if I can find something else over there. So for this I've swapped over to the Olympus 45mm, which is 90mm full frame equivalent. Let's just see what I can get from here. So there's a couple of trees here. It's a little bit difficult area to do, but there's this one main tree here. It's okay, it's a nice tree, but it's not kind of the trees I was hoping to shoot. But there is possibly a way of shooting this because I've got all this frosted long grass here in the foreground. So I've been using the telephoto so far to isolate the tree. Here I'm going to go for a bit wider. I've got a 50mm lens, so I'm going to go wider and get down low, and that's how I'm going to compose and get this shot, not the telephoto shots I've been doing so far. So I'm going to go to f8 on the 50mm lens, which is a 25 Olympus 1, vertical composition, focus the further away into the shot, 1/60th of a second. Actually I can drop that down to ISO 200. I've had it on 400. I'll drop it down to 200. Light levels are getting up a bit now this morning. Tree in the background, overexposed 2/3 of a stop because of the fog, because it's quite bright, it's fooling the meter. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my shot. Well, maybe the answer to shooting this tree over here is very similar to that previous one, and that's using foreground, simply because we haven't got a completely foggy background there. There's other trees appearing. It's not a clean minimalist shot, But we do have some contrast and some foreground here, the frosted grasses, different type ones these, whatever these are. So I quite like that with that contrast there, the frosted look. But I don't necessarily think I need to include the top of that tree. Now, as I am working with a prime lens or prime lenses this morning, there are limitations, of course. I mean, it could be said that this shot that maybe I did want a little bit wider, say a 35mm, but I can't because I didn't bring a 35mm lens with me and I haven't got a zoom to go that wide. So you kind of work with what you've got, and I'm making a composition that works with this lens. It would be different to the one I would have if I'd had a wider lens, brought a wider lens with me. So I'm just using this lens as it's the widest one I've got to frame up this shot. So I'm not missing out. It's just this is my point of view. So I don't feel limited, I feel challenged. I've got to work a bit harder to get this shot. But then that's what being a photographer is all about, isn't it? So 2 weeks into the new year, I've got my first shots. I've been out on my first shoot. I've got very wet feet, but at least we got started again, started my photography, and we can look forward to the rest of 2022.